No, this is not the end of your story, but only you can decide what happens next. Because the truth is, regret only has as much power as you give it. It can be a heavy chain, dragging you down, convincing you that life has already passed you by, or it can be a lesson, a reminder, a spark, the thing that finally pushes you forward. The only difference? What you choose to do next. And that's what this journey is about. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about what it truly means to live, not just exist, not just watch the days go by, but to wake up with purpose, with joy, with the undeniable truth that it is never too late to begin again. We'll talk about the 4 simple steps that can transform your days from routine to remarkable. How to find joy again, even if you think you've forgotten what happiness feels like. How to rebuild relationships, because love and connection matter more than anything. How to take care of your body and mind, because health is the key to a vibrant life. How to leave a lasting legacy, because your wisdom, your experiences, and your story deserve to be shared. Most importantly, we'll talk about fear. The fear of change, the fear of starting over, the fear that maybe it's too late, and we'll break that fear down piece by piece until you see it for what it really is. Just another excuse, another lie that keeps you from the life you could be living. Because here's what I need you to know. If you're still waking up in the morning, if you still have breath in your lungs, if there is even the smallest part of you that still wants to live fully, then you can. The question is, will you take the first step? Because the best stories don't just happen. They are written. One choice, one moment, one bold decision at a time. And yours? Yours is still being written. Regret is a heavy thing to carry. It settles in the bones like an ache that won't go away, a weight pressing down on your chest in the quiet moments when there's nothing left to distract you. It doesn't scream, it doesn't shout, it just sits there, lingering, waiting, whispering thoughts you wish you could ignore. I should have done more. I should have been braver. I should have spoken up, taken the risk, followed my heart. But you didn't. And now here you are, looking back at a road that can't be walked again, at doors that have already closed. And maybe it feels unfair. Maybe it feels cruel, this realization that time moves forward, whether you are ready or not. And so, you try not to think about it. You push it down, push it away, tell yourself that dwelling on the past won't change anything. And yet regret is relentless. It doesn't fade, not completely. It stays with you, a quiet shadow that stretches longer with each passing year. But let me ask you something. When did you start believing that your best days were behind you? Who told you that happiness has an expiration date? That after a certain age, you are meant to simply sit back, watch and exist, instead of truly live? Somewhere along the way, society whispered to you that the older you get, the smaller your world should become. That joy is for the young, that dreams belong to those who still have decades ahead of them. And maybe, without realizing it, you believed them. Maybe that's why you sit in the same chair every morning, drinking the same coffee, watching the same news, thinking the same thoughts. You tell yourself that it's enough, that this is just what life is now, that adventure, purpose, passion, those are things for someone else. Someone younger. Someone who still has time. And that belief is the real problem. Not your age. Not the years that have passed. Not the things you didn't do. The real problem is the story you tell yourself about what those years mean. Because regret doesn't come from getting older. It comes from thinking that getting older means you have to stop living. And if you don't believe me, let me tell you about someone I once knew. Her name was Margaret. She was 72 years old the first time she ever stepped on a plane. For most of her life, she had dreamed of traveling, of seeing the world beyond the small town she had always known. As a little girl, she used to flip through magazines filled with pictures of places she had never been. Paris, Rome, the Grand Canyon, the Great Wall of China. She told herself that one day she would go. One day she would stand in those places, breathe in their air and feel their history beneath her feet. But life has a way of slipping by. She got married young, had children, spent decades caring for her family, making sure everyone else had what they needed. Money was always tight, and there was always a reason to wait. When the kids are grown, then I'll go. When we have more savings, then I'll go. When life settles down, then I'll go. But life never settled down. Years passed, then decades. And before she knew it, the little girl who once dreamed of seeing the world had become a woman who barely left her own neighborhood. And then one day, her husband passed away. And suddenly, she was alone in a house that felt too big, surrounded by memories that felt too small. That's when the regret started creeping in. Not just for the things she had done, but for the things she hadn't, for the dreams she had set aside, for the adventures she had postponed until the perfect time, a time that never came. And maybe that would have been the end of the story. Maybe she would have accepted that her time had passed, that the world belonged to the young now, that she had missed her chance. But then something changed. One day, Margaret woke up and realized something. She wasn't dead yet. She was 72 years old. Her hair had gone silver, her hands had grown softer with time. Her steps weren't as quick as they used to be. But she was still here, still breathing, still capable. And suddenly, that meant something. So she did something that terrified her. She bought a plane ticket. And the first time she stepped onto that plane, hands gripping the armrests, heart pounding in her chest, she realized something she had forgotten. She was still alive. In the years that followed, Margaret traveled to 7 different countries. She walked through ancient ruins in Greece, stood beneath the Eiffel Tower, watched the northern lights dance across the sky. She learned to paint. She took ballroom dance classes. She made new friends, laughed louder than she had in years, and for the first time in a long time, she felt free. And when people asked her why she had waited so long to start living, she simply smiled and said, "I didn't start late. I started exactly when I was ready." So let me ask you something. What is it that you've been putting off? What is that one thing, the dream, the adventure, the risk that you keep telling yourself you'll do someday? Because here's the truth. There is no perfect time. There is no magical moment when everything aligns, when fear disappears, when the road is clear. There is only now. And right now, you still have time. The question is, what will you do with it? Regret is a thief. It doesn't come in loud, kicking down your door, demanding to be noticed. No, it creeps in slowly, silently, settling into the cracks of your mind when you least expect it. It doesn't take your money, your house, or your possessions. It takes something far more valuable, your present moment. Because the more time you spend looking back, the less time you have to move forward. But here's what most people don't realize. Regret only has power if you let it. And today, right now, you have a choice. You can let regret define you, let it weigh you down, let it convince you that the best moments of your life are behind you, or you can break free from it. Because the past is a lesson, not a life sentence. And if you want to move forward, you have to do 3 things. Step 1, accept the past. It cannot be changed, but it can teach you. There is a truth that many struggle to accept, but once you do, it changes everything. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can choose what to do with today. That means letting go of the mistakes, the missed chances, the words left unsaid. It means forgiving yourself, not because the past doesn't matter, but because it doesn't have to control your future. Think about it. What good has regret ever done for you? Has it ever fixed a mistake? Has it ever given you back time? Has it ever made your life richer, fuller, or happier? Or has it only ever held you back? There's an old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Yes, maybe you should have started earlier. Maybe you should have taken that risk, made that move, lived more fully. But you didn't. And now you have 2 choices. You can keep mourning the tree you never planted, or you can plant one today. Because time doesn't move backward. It only moves forward. And so should you. Step 2, stop focusing on lost time. Focus on right now. Too many people look at their age and think it's too late. But let me tell you something. It's only too late if you decide it is. Because right now, this very moment, is the youngest you will ever be again. And what you do now determines the life you will have tomorrow. Think about the stories we tell ourselves. I should have gone back to school. I should have started my business. I should have taken better care of my body. I should have spent more time with the people who mattered. But what if, instead of saying I should have, you started saying I will? I will learn something new. I will pursue what excites me. I will take care of myself. I will create meaningful moments starting today. Because you know who never says, "I should have"? People who decide to live fully, no matter their age. Let me tell you about someone who made that choice. Step 3. Realize you still have time to create new experiences. Do you know the story of Grandma Moses? She was a woman named Anna Mary Robertson Moses, born in 1860. Her whole life she worked on farms, raised children, did what she had to do to survive. She never once thought of herself as an artist. But when she was 78 years old, arthritis made it too painful for her to continue doing embroidery, so she decided to try painting. She picked up a brush, dipped it in color, and started painting scenes from her memories, the landscapes, the farms, the life she had lived. And guess what? Her paintings became famous. At 80 years old, she had her first art exhibit in New York. Her work was displayed in museums. Her paintings were sold for tens of thousands of dollars. And she didn't stop. She kept painting until she was 101 years old. She could have told herself, "I'm too old, it's too late." But she didn't. She chose to create something new instead of mourning what was gone. And you can too. Maybe you won't become a famous painter. Maybe you won't start a billion-dollar business. Maybe your dreams don't look like anyone else's, but you still have time to experience something new, to learn, to grow, to live. And if you need more proof, let's talk about Colonel Sanders. Yes, the man behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. Most people don't know this, but he didn't start KFC until he was 65 years old. Before that, he had failed at almost everything. He worked on a farm, lost jobs, tried different businesses that didn't work. He had a small restaurant, but it wasn't successful. He could have given up. Instead, at 65, when most people were retiring, he took a leap of faith. He started cooking chicken with his special recipe, traveling door to door, trying to sell his idea to restaurants. It wasn't easy. He was rejected 1,009 times before someone finally gave him a chance. And by the time he was in his 70s, KFC had become a worldwide success. He could have told himself, "It's too late, I'm too old to start over." But he didn't. And because of that, his story wasn't over, it was just beginning. You are still a creator of moments. So now I ask you, if a 78-year-old woman can become a world-famous painter, if a 65-year-old man can build one of the biggest fast food empires in the world, what is stopping you? Age is not a barrier. Fear is. Doubt is. The belief that it's too late is. But the truth is, your story isn't over. And you? You are not just a memory, a collection of past moments, a person whose best years are behind them. You are still a creator of moments. Every day you wake up, you are given a gift, the gift of time. Maybe not as much as you once had, maybe not as much as you'd like. But it is enough. Enough to do something new, enough to learn, to laugh, to love, enough to create memories that will make you proud when you look back. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much time you have, it's about what you choose to do with it. And today, you have a choice. Will you let regret define you? Or will you decide right now that your life is still worth living to the fullest? Because no matter your age, it's not too late to begin again. You've carried regret long enough. You've looked back, replayed the past, thought about what could have been, what should have been. But now it's time to look forward. Because your life isn't over. It's still yours to shape. And if you're going to live fully, no matter your age, you need a plan. A simple, powerful plan to make every moment count. And it starts here. Step 1. Find your joy again. When was the last time you woke up excited? Not just content, not just going through the motions, but truly excited, looking forward to the day ahead, eager to do something that made you feel alive? For some, it's been years, decades even. Somewhere along the way, life became routine, predictable, small. But let me remind you of something. You were not put on this earth just to pay bills, follow schedules, and wait for the days to pass. You were meant to experience joy. And it's still out there, waiting for you. Maybe you used to paint. Maybe you loved music, gardening, building things with your hands. Maybe you always wanted to learn an instrument, dance, write, travel, but you set it aside. You told yourself, there's no time for that. Well, guess what? Now there is time. And the only question left is, what will you do with it? If you don't know where to start, ask yourself this. What did I love as a child before life told me I had to be practical? What is something I've always wanted to try but never gave myself permission to do? What activities make me feel the most like me? And then, do it. Take the dance class, buy the paintbrushes, write the book, join the club, book the trip, plant the garden. Because life doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who live. You deserve to feel alive again, and you don't need anyone's permission to start. Step 2. Strengthen relationships. Because people matter more than things. Look around you. In the end, what do we really have if not the people who love us? Not the money in the bank. Not the things we've collected. Not the titles or awards or the size of the house we lived in. Just the people. The connections, the laughter, the conversations, the shared history, the quiet moments that mean more than words can ever express. And yet, too many people let those connections fade. They lose touch with old friends, get too busy to make new ones. They assume their family will always be there, that the grandkids will call, that the friendships they had in their younger years will somehow maintain themselves. But relationships don't work that way. Love must be nurtured, friendships must be maintained. And if you've let the years slip by, if you've lost touch, if there are people you wish you had called more, visited more, spent more time with, don't waste another moment. Pick up the phone, send the message, make the effort. Because one day you'll look back, and it won't be the work you did, the possessions you owned, or the places you lived that will matter most. It will be the faces, the hands you held, the voices that once filled your home with laughter. Memories matter more than money, so start investing in them today. Step 3. Take care of your body and mind, because health is wealth. Let's be honest, aging isn't always easy. The body slows down, the joints ache, the energy isn't what it used to be, and for some, that becomes an excuse to stop trying. But listen closely. Your body may be older, but that does not mean you have to stop living in it. Because a strong, active body leads to a strong, active life. And no, I'm not saying you need to run marathons or lift heavy weights, but you do need to move. Take a walk every morning, stretch your body, dance in the kitchen, ride a bike, do whatever feels right for you, but do something. Because the moment you stop moving, the moment you stop challenging your body, is the moment it starts to shut down. And it's not just your body, your mind needs movement too. Keep learning, read books, solve puzzles, take a class, challenge yourself, because a curious mind stays young no matter how many years pass. And most importantly, take care of your health. Not for anyone else, not because someone told you to, but because a healthy body fuels a vibrant life, and you deserve a life that is nothing short of vibrant. Step 4. Share your wisdom and give back, because your story matters. You've seen things, lived through history, survived hardships, learned lessons that others haven't yet faced. And that means you have something priceless, something that younger generations desperately need: wisdom. But what good is wisdom if it isn't shared? Think about it. When you were younger, wouldn't you have given anything for someone to guide you, to tell you what really matters, to share the lessons that only come with experience? You can be that person for someone else. Mentor a young person who is still figuring life out. Volunteer your time at a school, a shelter, a community center. Write your life story, even if only for your children and grandchildren. Pass down the traditions, the stories, the wisdom that makes your journey unique. Because when you give back, when you pour your experiences into others, you ensure that your legacy lives on long after you are gone. And isn't that the most beautiful kind of immortality? You are still here, and that means something. Let me say this again so you don't forget it. Your story isn't over. There are still memories to be made, still laughter to be shared, still lessons to learn and moments to cherish. Don't let regret define you. Don't let fear hold you back. Because every single day you wake up is a day you've been given. A chance to start again. A chance to love more, to explore more, to live more. And no matter how many years you have left, 5, 10, 20, 50, make every single one of them count. Because in the end, it's not about how long we lived. It's about how fully we lived. And it's never too late to begin. Fear. It has stopped more dreams than failure ever could. Fear whispers in your ear, telling you it's safer to stay where you are. That it's easier to keep things the way they've always been. That stepping into the unknown at your age is reckless, unnecessary, impossible. And maybe you've believed it. Maybe you've told yourself that change is for the young. That reinvention is something you leave behind when you reach a certain age. That at this point in life, it's better to stick with what's familiar, even if it doesn't make you happy, even if it doesn't excite you, even if deep down you feel like you're just existing. But let me ask you something. If you keep doing what you've always done, what will your life look like in a year? 5 years? 10? If you keep rereading the same chapter, living the same routine, making the same choices, what story will your life tell? Will it be a story of adventure, of bold decisions, of second chances? Or will it be a story of waiting? Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for someone else to push you forward. Waiting for a time when fear no longer has a grip on you. But here's the truth. That time will never come. Because fear never fully goes away. No matter how old you are, no matter how much you've lived, stepping into something new will always be uncomfortable. But nothing changes unless you do. You have to choose to turn the page. Because life is a book, and every day you have the chance to write a new chapter. Some people spend their whole lives rereading the same pages, stuck in their past, afraid of the unknown. They read and reread their mistakes, their regrets, their fears, until they start believing that those pages are the whole story. But the best stories, the ones that stay with us, they have twists, they have new beginnings. And it doesn't matter how long the book has been, it only matters what you choose to write next. Because if you're still waking up in the morning, life is giving you another chance to try, another chance to dream, another chance to feel joy, to make memories, to love, to grow. But you have to take it. No one else can do it for you. The only question left is, will you turn the page? Now you have a choice to make. Not tomorrow, not next week, not one day, right now. Because here's something you may not have realized. Life is asking you a question. Every morning when you open your eyes, when your feet touch the floor, when you take that first breath of a brand new day, life is asking, what will you do with this time I have given you? And how you answer that question, that's up to you. But let me tell you what most people do. Most people let the moment pass. They tell themselves, I'll do it later. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel ready. They tell themselves, now just isn't the right time. And then, years go by. And one day they wake up and realize, later never came. The right time never arrived, and ready was nothing more than an excuse. So I'm challenging you, right here, right now, to choose one thing, just one that you've been putting off, and commit to doing it this week. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to mean something to you. Maybe it's calling an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Maybe it's writing down the first page of that book you've always wanted to write. Maybe it's walking around the block, signing up for a class, trying a new hobby, or simply waking up tomorrow with a different mindset, one that says, I am not done yet. My story is still being written. Whatever it is, pick it. Say it out loud. And if you're truly ready to take that step, write it down in the comments below. Tell me, what's one thing you've always wanted to do? What's one thing you're finally ready to start? Write it, speak it, commit to it. Because when you say it out loud, when you put it into words, when you make it real, it becomes the first step towards something new. And that's how change begins. And now, we've come to the final moment. The moment where you decide what happens next. Because everything I've said, every story, every challenge, every truth, it all comes down to one thing, the choice you make right now. Not the choices you made last year, not the choices you made decades ago, not the choices you regret, the chances you missed, or the paths you didn't take. Those are already written. But this moment is still in your hands. And if there's one thing I need you to remember, it's this. You are not defined by your past. Not by your regrets, not by your mistakes, not by the things you didn't do or the opportunities you didn't take. You are defined by the choices you make now. And right now, you have a choice. A choice to wake up tomorrow and see the day as a gift, not a routine. A choice to take even the smallest step towards something new. A choice to say, I am still here, I am still capable, and I am still living. Because at the end of it all, when time has taken its course, when we are left with nothing but the story of how we lived, do you want to be the person who looked back and said, I wish I had? Or do you want to be the person who looked back and said, I did. I tried. I lived. That choice is yours. And if you're ready to make it, if you're ready to stop waiting, if you're ready to live fully no matter your age, then like this video. Let this be your first commitment to yourself. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more inspiration to keep you moving forward. And if you know someone, a friend, a sibling, a parent, a neighbor, someone who needs to hear this, share this with them. Because life is too short to spend it watching the clock, waiting for the right time. The time is now, and you are ready.